Hey everybody, Danna here for episode 2 of Danna's Kick Cancer in the Butt journey. I am so appreciative of all the comments and wonderful offers to pray for me from my first video. And today I'm going to keep it relatively short, but just give you a little bit of an idea of some of the things that are going on and some of the decisions I need to make. But I want to start by saying I have incredible peace. Now, as I shared in my first video, my cancer is stage 1. It is slow growing. So I do have some time, and I don't know how I would feel if it was stage 2 or especially 3 or 4. Certainly, I wouldn't have the freedom to take the time to make some of my decisions as thoughtfully. But I'm thankful that I do have that time. And I'm hoping that my sharing my journey will give some of you the inspiration if you don't have breast cancer, but maybe are concerned about it, to be thinking about some of these things in advance. Because, of course, early detection is important. And I'm going to throw out a lot of things. This sharing of my journey is by no means me recommending anything to anybody. I'm just going to be open and transparent about how I'm approaching it. I'm blessed to have a medical background, but that doesn't mean I have any in-depth knowledge about breast cancer. I was a labor and delivery nurse and a regular med-surg nurse for a while. I understand basic physiology. I understand the body, but I am not a cancer expert. I didn't even understand all the different, I knew what stage, 3 and 4 cancer were in general. I know what metastasis is, but I didn't understand all the different variances in the tissue, biopsy, and all that. So I'm learning all that as I go, just like any lay person would. But I'm also blessed to be surrounded by some awesome people, having been an author of health books and working with uh, people like Dr. Mark Stengler, who's a world-renowned naturopath. He's my personal naturopathic physician. People like Patty Milligan, who both Patty and Mark were advisors on our Eat, Live, Thrive diet book. I am blessed to know people because of Patty Milligan. She has her PhD in nutrition. Another woman who, Dr. Nancy Rizzo, who does very special scans out of Phoenix. She has done these cutting edge scans where you put your fingers in this machine and it can read the energy level across your entire body, and has been given many NIH grants, National Institute of Health, I think that stands for, that she's conducted across the country and I believe the world, and finding early detection of many diseases to include cancers. She found her father's cancer, I don't know if it was 9 months or even a couple years before any conventional means like CAT scans, MRIs, etc., could find her father's cancer. So when I was scanned by Nancy the day after my diagnosis, I happened to be in Arizona and it was planned for me to have a scan. She saw the exact area. She could see my breast tumor in this imaging that she did. She could see that it was outside the little nodule itself, but she said to me, "Danna, that is not aggressive cancer." This was confirmed to me a week later when I saw my surgical oncologist. So I am blessed to be able to go in and get these scans every 2 to 3 months to see how my body's doing. So I share all that in advance of what I'm going to share with you today. So I have a choice to have a lumpectomy because of the stage of my cancer. It is level 1, which is under 2 centimeters size. Mine is a 1.1 centimeter. They will go in and do a lymph node. I think I mentioned this before, a lymph node biopsy. Take 3 of the, I think they're called sentinel lymph nodes, which is the ones that the breast ducts drain into. So primary where it could potentially metastasize, and tell me if I have any involvement there. So the recommended treatment for me is lumpectomy. My surgeon said that there is no greater risk in reoccurrence of me at my current stage to have a lumpectomy or a full mastectomy. However, highly recommended radiation. So my biggest decision, and this is what I'd ask for your prayers for, is that I am leaning against radiation for a couple reasons, which means that I have to take a much more holistic approach And so just to touch on very briefly what I've started the day after I found out I had cancer, when I met with Dr. Nancy, because not only does she do these cutting edge scans, she is a nutritionist beyond all nutritionists. She is so well versed. She put me on an iodine therapy. I'll talk more about that in another video. She asked me to go on an alkaline diet. I'll talk about that in another video. She encouraged me, of course, to keep my carbohydrates and my especially simple carbohydrates very, very low, although she encourages me to eat fruit, a little bit of fruit because it is so nutritious. But I'm trying to keep my carbs down to 100 to 120 a day. And I'm seriously considering a ketogenic diet. And those of you that follow me on Eat, Live, Thrive Diet, we've never promoted a ketogenic diet, not because it doesn't have some merit, as in my case, but because it's hard to sustain. And for me, a ketogenic diet would mean very little animal protein, because to be on an alkaline diet means you're giving up most animal protein, most grains, you're eating mostly fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, some nuts, not all nuts. You're really limited. A little bit of quinoa here and there. If you have animal protein, you might have one egg occasionally. You might have 2 or 3 ounces of fish or chicken. I love grass-fed beef. I love lamb. I'm a carnivore at heart. Sorry for you vegetarians, or I should say vegans, but I just am. And I'm making major shifts, giving up all wine. I'm not a super sugar person, but occasionally I like a little, giving up all added sugar. So if you happen to see me losing a little bit of weight, it's not because I'm sick. I don't want you to go, oh my gosh, Danna must not be doing very well. She's losing weight. It's because I'm on quite a restrictive diet right now, because my motivation is incredibly high. The more I read about cancer and what feeds it, most of you all know, cancer loves sugar, but not just eating your chocolates, drinking your wine, eating grains, everything, high carbohydrate, high glycemic carbohydrates convert to sugar quickly. So even when I have my fruit, I might have half an apple and I will wait a few hours before I have more, even fructose, so that I can nourish my brain right away and give myself some immediate energy, but hopefully starve out those fat cells. The other thing that I'm doing, again, I'll talk about this more in detail, maybe in a separate video, is intermittent fasting. Now, I've done some intermittent fasting in the past. One of my goals was always to do 12 to 13 hours a night. We know that 13 hours of fasting, there was quite a well done study, great quality study, that found that women who did 13 hours of fasting every single day had less reoccurrence of breast cancer, and some had less occurrence of initial cancer. Well, obviously, that wasn't working for me. I've only been doing that for about a year, and my cancer probably has been growing for 7, 8, 9 years. But something just happened, in the course of my last year or two, that let that cancer kind of take off. And, it could be so many combination of things out of our control, but there are a lot of things in our control. I've always said when I'm teaching lifestyle change, 30% of our wellness is out of our control. It's called genetics. It's called environment, things we cannot change. But 70% is in our control, and that's called lifestyle. How we eat, how we sleep, how we deal with stress, the water we drink, the supplements we take, the exercise we partake in. And let me just say to all of you out there, I should have said this at the beginning because some of you are already not watching the video. I'll say it in another video. I'll repeat it again. There are quite a few factors that greatly impact your breast cancer risk, with or without genetics. One is being overweight. 2, of course, is smoking. 3 is alcohol consumption. 4 is, what was the other one? Exercise. Did I say exercise yet? So when we exercise at least 5 or 6 days a week, we decrease our risk. When we only have wine or alcohol on rare occasions, decrease our risk. Of course, my doctor didn't talk about sugar specifically, but I do think our sugar, our carbohydrate intake is huge. And then there's other factors. So whether you have a risk factor or not, did you know how early it was? It was in the 50s and 60s. Only 1 in 20 women got cancer. Now, current day, 1 in 7 to 8 women gets cancer, gets breast cancer specifically. So we're all at risk. It's not just genetics. In fact, that doesn't play as big a role as sometimes people think. My mother, yes, had breast cancer, so my risk was a little bit higher. So anyway, that's what's going on with me right now. And I would say I will keep you informed of what I'm learning about this issue with radiation and what I'm going to do. And I'll keep you informed of what I find out at my upcoming appointments moving forward. Thank you for walking with me on this journey. I hope you find this informative and just food for thought for you. In another episode, I'm going to share the different books that I'm reading and some of the nutritional protocol I'm on in terms of supplements. God bless.